What's up YouTube, Capital G here. So we're talking clowns in this video, more specifically the age of the clown that I guess the TCG is in now. And this video could be applicable to the OCG as well. We know that performages have been pretty much defining the OCG for quite some time now. Konami really hasn't done much to stop it. I think that it obviously started with the Clown Blade deck, which was, it was a deck that consisted of the mini engine of the performages, and then you doing like 1,000 blades. Obviously there were great synergy between the cards, and you could just like rank 4 spam a Rooney all over the field. Usually it ended with a Cyber Dragon Infinity, which if you've played against the card and you don't have like a breakthrough skill, you know that it can be like GG, because it's really difficult to get over. And then even when Cyber Dragon Infinity was taken out of the picture, it really didn't change much in Japan, because all they did was just implement the same kind of engine into a new deck. You see performages and pals, and if you don't believe me, just look at YG Organization. Go to that site, look at the OCG deck list. Like any deck that is running performages is just dominating the OCG, but that deck still has Shockmaster, it still has Lavalval Chain, so it's still able to dominate because rank 4s are just so freaking powerful and potent. Now, I would be absolutely 100% lying if I told you that I thought that this mini engine coming out of Clash of Rebellion was going to have the same impact as it did in the OCG. I was just like, well, the first thing I thought honestly was, we don't have Lavalval Chain, so how are you getting this into the graveyard? I was like, I just don't think it's going to have the impact, because maybe you could run Foolish Burial, but I was like, what else are you going to Foolish in these decks? And I don't actually think, now that it has kind of come to fruition that I've obviously been wrong, and it has had an immense impact, I don't think that I'm happy with the results, and that's simply because we're not getting these crazy hybrid decks or these crazy, made from the ground up decks like they had in Japan. Essentially, all we're getting is these already established archetypes splashing in 6 cards and basically saying we're just gonna have a little more utility than the typical variant. The 2 decks that you're seeing splash the performance engine in mainly right now is Necros and Shadows. And I read this article by Patrick Hoban. I know you guys are gonna roll your eyes, but it was a pretty decent article he wrote like 10 days ago or so, maybe like 2 weeks ago, and he explained why Necros used the performance engine. Obviously, any deck that is gonna run performages, and this is actually a first place build of I don't remember the regional, but it's obviously performance Necros. He didn't opt to run Juggler, but most people do. It's only 4 to 6 cards that you have to add in your deck. Obviously, your rank 4 plays become much more consistent. And a deck like Necros, or in a deck like Shadows, that means you're less reliant on you're less reliant on burning your ritual spells as fast. You're less reliant on burning your your Shadow fusions and whatnot. It obviously opens up L fusion, because you have Earth here. You've got not this one, Light. So obviously you can make more constructs and whatnot. I think that it still feels, even though that we have this new little mini engine, it still feels like the same stale decks, because it really didn't do much. If you look at other mini engines in the past, the Trap Tricks engine, the Hand engine, the Plant engine, which Konami thought was so impactful that they tore that shit apart like every way possible that you could think of. They hit Tengu, they hit Glow Up Bulb, they banned Spore, they hit everything. Lone Fire Blossom, I think, got limited to 1 at one point. Those were mini engines that created brand new decks that the players made themselves. A deck like Hat, that was a deck that was built from the ground up. Plant Synchro, that was not an established archetype that Konami said, here you go, here's an archetype out of this set, go play it. Those were decks that we built from the ground up. But with the Trick Clown engine, or the performance engine, we're not getting that. And that's what I think a lot of players are still groaning. They're just like, oh, it's a performance Necros deck, Resident Sleeper. And I kind of feel that way too. And I think that I would think that, considering that this little engine, this little 3-card engine, and you can throw in 1,000 blades or whatever if he's part of it, if you consider that, I think that this little engine should be treated essentially the same way that the Plant engine was, because the Plant engine, they ripped that shit to shreds, and they even took out anything that was related to it at the time. Things like Trishula, which that's not even like a Plant card, but they were just like, Trishula, you gotta go too. I thought that in the OCG we would see a limitation on something like Trick Clown or whatnot, and I'm hoping that we do see that in the TCG, mainly because this little engine is destroying both. Like, it's destroying on a worldwide level, the OCG, now the TCG, and I think that these variants are better than normal variants because they give you extended plays. When you're playing against a regular Necros deck, and you can get this little trick clown for free, and you contribute it and draw more cards from Valkyris. Your opponent can't do that. When your opponent runs out of ritual spells because you've both been grinding in a mirror match, and you're like, oh well, I still have this trick clown, and it can activate infinite amount of times as long as I have life points, so I can just keep making XEs. Or, you know, I want to go into 104 Masquerade. Oh, you have a Valk in your hand? Guess what? Can't use it. You know what I mean? So let me know what you guys think. But this little engine it's more annoying than what I originally gave it credit for. I will completely admit that I was wrong. I thought that no Lavalval chain, I thought that no performance power, like I thought no performance if there was no Lavalval chain. But even without Shockmaster, Lavalval chain, Cyber Dragon Infinity, this is still the 100% meta, but it still feels like we got a little cheated because we haven't really got any new decks. So let me know what you guys think on this engine. Do you think that there is a legitimate chance that it will get hit in any way? Do you think that it should get hit? You know what I mean? I'm not saying completely kill it, but I guess they just have to find a way to make this shit less splashable, because I guess performances do like deserve to be their own deck. You know, they have their own cool XC and whatnot, but at this point all they're doing is just being splashed into other decks. Like, no one's really building performances their deck, they're just like splashing them in the other deck. So anyways, thank you guys for watching as always.